So we're now going to move on to the German market, and I'm delighted to have Kristina from who's the marketing manager in the German market, to share not only the German insights but also her local knowledge in how you can help win business in this market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anya, and thank you very much to Tourism Northern Ireland for the opportunity to be here today and to talk to you about me. Because actually, I'm the German culturally curious, and I completely fit the demographics of the German culturally curious. So I'm here to tell you what I like to experience in a holiday in Northern Ireland. But before I do that, I just wanted to give you a quick introduction of the performance of Ireland generally from the German market. So Germany is the third largest source market to Ireland for us. In the last year, we had record visitor numbers to the island of Ireland. Over 800,000 people came to the island, and that is 20% up on 2017. So that was a fantastic result, and we already saw really good figures for January and February already this year, so really happy with the performance of that. In terms of our TV ads, we have quite a broad target audience. 17 million people will see our TV ad this year. I'm going to show you a little snippet of that in the next slide. In terms of the publicity, same as France, we do quite an extensive publicity program in the German market. We bring over 150 journalists to the island of Ireland, out of which 52 visit Northern Ireland. So that means actually that minimum one per week is visiting Northern Ireland. And together they all generate about more than 11 million in equivalent advertising value for Northern Ireland in the German market. So, and as Severine explained earlier, the equivalent advertising value, that is the value that this placement would have if we would buy it as an advertising space in the publications. The GermanIreland.com website has approximately 1.86 million visits, which is a fantastic number for us. We are also very active on social media. It was mentioned earlier this morning by Naomi that you shouldn't underestimate social media, and that is really big as well for Germany. We have over 326,000 fans on Facebook and also on Twitter and Instagram. We've just started with an own Instagram channel in Frankfurt, and I'm going to show you some examples of that. In terms of access, we actually have quite a lot of access into the island of Ireland. Most of it, however, is into Dublin. We only have one direct flight into Belfast, which is from Berlin. However, that is actually not a big problem for the Germans, because the Germans really like to tour around and they don't mind driving around in their car. And it's actually only just a 2-hour drive from Dublin to anywhere in Northern Ireland. And because Germany is landlocked, we're just used to hop on the car. And last year I was in Croatia by car. You know, that's what we do. So we tour around the whole island. We don't mind, you know. So that's not a problem, not having so much direct access. It would be nice. So if there are any airlines in the room, we would love to have more access into Belfast. But it's not keeping the Germans from coming to Northern Ireland. That's what I wanted to say. In terms of seasonality, you've heard about that already. So we are working with Tourism Northern Ireland, with all of our other colleagues, on extending the season and driving people into the regions. And it's already paying off, as you can see in that little chart on the bottom there, that visitors are more and more traveling in the off and shoulder seasons. This is a slide that you've seen for France already, so I'm not going into that much detail, but it's also positive for Germany. You know, we've seen great improvements on the visitor numbers and on the revenues, and the average spend actually as well from visitors from Germany to Northern Ireland. So that's all a very positive picture again. Now, in terms of the German market, what is the German market? It's huge. It's a huge travel market. The Germans are known as the world champions in traveling, 100 million trips per year. It's also very large and decentralized, so a bit different than France, where everything is sort of concentrated in Paris. We have really lots of large cities, which makes it difficult also in terms of our advertising, that we have to see how we can get the widest reach in the biggest areas. So, and also in terms of the access, which makes it difficult. So, for example, for tour operators, you know, that's something that you need to keep in mind when you work with tour operators, is that they're bringing in people from different airports in Germany. So, you know, trying to find out, get the itineraries, get people in the same place at the same time when they're coming in from different cities. The Germans are quite spoiled with 30 days holidays on average, so a lot of time to spend, and they do travel a lot. They travel long and they travel short trips, so they do all sorts of different trips. The key travel period sort of for the summer holiday would be May to September, but as we've seen earlier already, you know, the seasonality activities that we're doing for Ireland is already paying off, and we do actually have quite a lot of people coming in the off-season and shoulder season as well. In terms of the booking period, the Germans are well prepared, or like to be well prepared. They book really early, which is why we start off with our advertising campaigns on the 1st of January. So this is the key booking period, and they also still book via tour operators, which makes it different to a lot of other markets. So we have approximately 30% of people still book via a tour operator, and even if they don't book a package, they might still book the individual parts, but via a tour operator, to have sort of that safety of, you know, that everything is really booked for them and covered. They also still like their guidebooks, and they do a lot of research, and they like paper. So, you know, when you have an attraction or a product where you do a tour, you know, it would be really nice for Germans. They like papers, little leaflets to take away. And I'm going to talk a little bit about language later on as well. But just to say, you know, they keep it. They keep the leaflets and the brochures, and for years they'll still have them in their pockets. And it's really funny, actually. We attend CMT, which is the largest consumer travel fair in January every year in Stuttgart, and some of you might have been there. And they actually come with their trolley, and they just collect brochures from every destination and put them all in their trolley, and it's amazing. So that's really still important. However, they're also moving online now, the Germans, finally. The new age has arrived in Germany, so now 38% of the German population is now also online and does their research online. However, the word authenticity has been mentioned before. You know, that is something that's really important for the Germans as well. And the coast. Germany is very much landlocked. We have a little bit of coast in the north of Germany, but the other part of the largest part of the country is landlocked, and that's why we really like to see pictures of the coast. And while we also, you know, we don't mind staying in the countryside or in a nice B&B or do things within the countryside. However, a holiday on an island like Ireland would always have to incorporate some time on the coast. In terms of the German holidaymaker, so me, this is me, again, the German culture curious. Authenticity, what we mean by that is that really Germans don't like the overly touristy things. It shouldn't be too staged, you know, and the Irish people and the Northern Irish people, you're so nice people. And that is really what makes Ireland different to a lot of other destinations in the world, is that, you know, is that here you can experience, you can talk to the people, and Germans really like that interaction with you, and so they can get really under the skin of the island and of what it's like to be here. And they like being active in nature. They like exploring the landscape by being active. They put on their red wolfskin jackets and their hiking boots and get out there. Small towns and villages, they like exploring those. Talking to locals. In terms of the language, so Germans would naturally be okay with the English language. That's not a problem. I would actually quite enjoy that a lot. However, if you have someone in your organization or your attraction that speaks German, it might actually make it easier in terms of closing the sale. So it's not a problem if you don't have someone that speaks German, but you might have to work just a little bit harder. So, and as Monica said earlier, if there is a tour in English, that's not a problem, but please remember to speak slowly. That would help a lot. What we don't want is the party life, the nightlife, the going to a club. That's not what we do on holidays. We might do that at home. We might. But it's the pubs. It's that type of authentic experience. You know, it's the live music at night. It's talking to the people and these kind of experiences. Not typically touristy. We don't want to be seen standing there with loads of other people. You know, we'd rather have that little insider tip from our B&B lady of where we can go the next morning. That's more what we want to experience. You know, it needs to be something real and something different. We're not too adventurous. Actually, no wild kind of sports activities or things like that. You know, active in nature is fine. We go cycling, we go walking, but not the kayaking and surfing. And it's niche. It is there, the product, but for the broader audience, it's a bit more of the soft adventure, really. Being spontaneous, I should say. We're not very spontaneous, so the Germans like to be prepared, and they would have their itinerary, and this is what we want to do on holiday, and tonight we go there, tomorrow we go there. But actually, they might be convinced if you own a B&B or a hotel, and somebody asks you, what can we do? What is here in the region that we can do? They might be willing, you know, to diverge from the route. That's not a problem. We call it controlled spontaneity. As long as they know where the bed is for the next night, you know, they're happy. And something that was mentioned already before is, you know, when you're talking to the Germans and when you're selling your product, it's important to sell the whole experience, everything that is around there as well. How can they fill their holiday? And work with the other providers that are around you and show people what there is to see and do in the whole region. And something that is important as well is to assume that when a German comes to Northern Ireland, they might not know anything, actually. They might be able to locate Northern Ireland within Ireland, but that's about it. And, you know, it's as simple as explaining on your website, for example, have a map and show where you're located and what there is to see and do, what the distance is to the nearest airport or to the coast or to the next city and these kind of things. Now I'm going to show you a few things of what we are doing in terms of our activities in the German market. And you have already seen from our French colleagues the long version of the TV ad. We are running a similar cut-down version of that on our, we have run that actually in January and February across German national TV. And I'm just going to play a little bit until you can hear the nice German voiceover, which is unfortunately not.
Du solltest immer auf dein Herz hören. Und wo geht das besser als in Irland?
So yes, it's not Brad Pitt, but what we are doing in Germany is we are looking for a voiceover that has an Irish accent when they speak German. So again, to bring across the authenticity and you know, to really have this effect of people when people are sitting in front of the television and doing something else, actually, which most of us are doing nowadays, that they actually look, oh, what is this? And pay attention to the TV ad. We are also running an online video campaign, which is still online at the moment until the end of April. Lots of different little videos which are addressing all the different barriers that have been identified in the path to purchase. Generally, Ireland and Northern Ireland have quite a positive image in Germany. Everybody says, oh, I always wanted to go there. But it's just this little bit of how do we bring them to book. That's why we have done a German review actually last year. And we have identified a few barriers and we are addressing those now with those different elements of the campaign. There's lots more than these three. I've just picked them as an example. So really showing people the different things that they can do on their holiday. You know, not only the coast, not only this. So it's the food, it's the coastal experience, it's the hiking, it's the cities, it's all these kind of things, filling their holiday. In terms of our marketing activities, same as France, we're actually quite busy doing a lot of advertising with TV and online. We have a paid content seeding activity around the year in the market. We have the strong publicity program that I've mentioned already. We are active in search and social media, lots of events, fairs. We're doing Tourism Ireland is doing a Game of Thrones campaign actually, which is going live in April. And the Pan-European Slow Road campaign that was mentioned by France already, Germany is taking part in that as well in the latter half of the year. We do a lot of co-op with carriers and OTAs and local trade partners. We're also doing some activities around golf, and obviously the Open are a big opportunity for us as well this year. And then business tourism and trade activities are ongoing throughout the year. Now I've just brought you some examples of how we would actually advertise Northern Ireland and Belfast and the island of Ireland generally in Germany. So this is an example of a campaign that we did together with Visit Belfast last year. We worked with a German OTA, which is called Weg.de, and did a co-op outdoor poster campaign and also some Facebook advertising. Then we also work with Ryanair, which is the only, as I mentioned earlier, the only direct route that we have into Northern Ireland from Berlin to Belfast. So we actually live at the moment doing out of home and an online campaign with them. That's happening regularly, actually twice a year we work with Ryanair. This is an example of not a specific Northern Ireland campaign, although Northern Ireland was included in that as well. But I've included this slide here because it's actually, I should say, a relatively low-cost opportunity for you to get involved. We worked with the Caravan and Camping Council and Irish Ferries, and each of the partners have put in €3,000. And we went together and did a Facebook campaign. And I believe Geraldine is talking later on as well about the Northern Ireland Industry Activation Programme, so in terms of supporting you of getting involved. In terms of publicity and press trips, 52 journalists visited Northern Ireland in 2018, I mentioned that already, which generated a really good EAV for us of over £11 million. We send out a press newsletter on a monthly basis to 2,800 journalists every month. And if you have any stories to tell or any product news, you can feed that in through your Tourism Northern Ireland contact. Social media, we have quite a big Facebook channel, 310,000 followers. Instagram we've just actually opened last year, but have already generated 14,000 followers, which we're quite proud of for a market like Germany, which is always a little bit behind, as you can see in our Twitter channel. Twitter is actually quite small in Germany. We are doing some work there, but so 1,179 followers is actually quite an achievement for us, given that the channel is so small. So we are present in all of these channels, and we are doing quite a lot of work. And again, if you have any quirky news or any product news for us, please let us know. We also send out weekly consumer newsletters, and we have a database of 28,000 Germans, where we also feature all of the different regions and all of the different products that there are available, giving people reasons to go. Game of Thrones was mentioned already. This is also huge in Germany. And given that the final season is now coming up in April, the German media is actually full of Game of Thrones at the moment. So there is really a big opportunity. And there will be a Tourism Ireland campaign of which Germany is also taking part in April. Golf, I mentioned earlier already, we went to Rheingolf Fair in February and had a stand there with two partners from Northern Ireland represented. We also run a golf Facebook channel, which we're regularly posting, and there is a social media campaign coming up in April, and we are also at the moment investigating working with an influencer who we will send to Northern Ireland probably in May, but I can't tell you any more details at the moment because we're still under negotiation with him. This is a slide that was shown already very similarly in the French presentation, so there are a lot of opportunities for you to get involved, and please feel free to talk to us and your Tourism Northern Ireland partners. So in terms of hosting trade farm trips, for example, or in terms of hosting media visits, then Meet the Buyer obviously next week, and we also have quite a few people, I think it's 10 buyers coming from Germany to the Meet the Buyer workshop. In terms of the in-market opportunities, we have CMT, which is the largest travel consumer show in Stuttgart. That is coming up next year in January, and ITB just happened in March actually. Then we also do a local in-market event, which is a Meet the Buyer workshop type, which we hold in Offenbach, and that is coming up in October. We have business tourism events, trade sales, mission, and fairs. In terms of online opportunities, I showed you the consumer newsletter already, so that is actually a relatively low-cost opportunity. Then our consumer website is all free, these placement of your offers and your products. Competitions, we're always happy to do joint competitions with you if you're interested, or then joint campaigns. And I can only reiterate what Monica was saying earlier. If you haven't registered on Tourism Ireland Industry Opportunities, please do so, because then you would get our alerts whenever there is a new opportunity up there, and you can get involved, and we would be very happy to work with you. And that was it. Dankeschön.